Now, I'm not going to lie. I thought that we were done with Memphis Tigers basketball for a while.
No.
Or just really Memphis basketball, period, in athletics as far as the University of Memphis. But a lot has gone on with the Tigers. First, let's just talk about Penny Hardaway adding more to his staff. He added...
Yes, added 3 bodies.
Yeah.
Got rid of 3 bodies.
Got rid of
3 or more. And then had to replace those bodies. So you're talking about Sean Mock,
Trevor
Deloach.
And then the biggest one, Tony Madlock.
Yeah, Tony Madlock, who is from Memphis.
Yeah.
And so you're talking about 3 names, and I know you want to talk about Madlock here in a second, but the thing that stuck out to me when I saw this announcement was all 3 of those guys have heavy hands in recruiting.
Yes, but they still haven't named a GM.
Well, I think they're still working on that. I did see something where that could be expected in the coming days.
Yeah.
But still, they've got a list, and they're working on a list. That GM position is so crucial right now in college athletics, and it will be for the next few years while they still figure out how to make this NIL stuff work. But you got to have a GM who knows how to balance the budget, who knows how to find guys that are worth what they want. And I could just tell you, we'll just have a conversation right here. I coach women's basketball at the youth level, so I have kids that go on to play college basketball. I'm currently talking to one of my players who's getting in the transfer portal when it opens next week, and her starting bid, and she's a mid-major Division I kid, is $20,000. And so anybody who wants to talk has to get above that opening $20,000.
$20K seems low in the massive.
Yes, in the massive scheme. We're talking about low-level Division I, though. We're not talking about Power 4, where you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars for women sometimes and millions of dollars for men. So, but the point of it is, everybody has to figure out how to balance those budgets. Mm-hmm. And that's what's going to happen for Penny and Company, because they have, seem to have brought in some big names on the coaching staff to help. Mm-hmm. Familiar with the conference, obviously, familiar with recruiting to that conference, but now that GM portion is huge.
I can imagine you as a GM.
So the reason you don't want me as a GM, or the reason why the college basketball world doesn't want me doing it, is because I'll be real honest with you, some of these guys are getting massive paychecks with absolutely no production value.
Yeah,
and,
they don't match.
To me, those contracts, while they can't be based on points and rebounds, I do think there should be some level of production value associated to it, meaning you have to play in X number of games to get your full stipend, or to get your full, or at least be eligible for X number of games to get your full amount, or you have to, you can't be suspended, or you get X amount of all. There should be some production level value to it. And then a guy averaging 4 points at Iowa shouldn't be able to command $500,000 to go to, Texas Tech, because he's got D1 Power 4 experience. Now you're going to pay him all this money, but instead of averaging 4 points a game, he averages 6 points a game.
Yeah, I agree. Now, another thing I wanted to talk to you about, when it came up to the hires, is the Tony Madlock thing. Because something that I'm noticing, obviously, Mo Williams was the head coach at Jackson State, and he took a job as a Kentucky assistant. Now, Tony Madlock was the head coach of Alabama State, right?
Alabama State.
Yeah, I was about to say Alabama A&M, and I didn't want them to come get me. He was the head coach at Alabama State, who just made it to the NCAA tournament. So you got a good thing going, but you leave to join Memphis, of all P5.
The group of five, yeah.
The group of 5. So what do we think about that? It's an interesting thing. Why would you leave being a head coach of a kind of successful program to come be the assistant?
Now, is he an assistant or an associate head coach?
I think he's going to be an associate, but he's not the head coach. Unless he's the coach in waiting if Penny gets fired.
I can tell you why, very simply. It's because I shouldn't say anybody, let me rephrase that. A lot of those coaches that are coaching at the mid-major, and let's be real, HBCU is the mid-major level.
Yeah.
They're really just trying to be successful so that they can go get a job at the very next level. And for that is a group of 5 job is the next level.
Yeah, but
now, while you might be saying you go
from
the head coach to the assistant coach, yes, but the resources are phenomenally different. So trying to be the head coach at a school that maybe struggles with resources, and really that man probably coached his tail off to get that team there with limited resources. Think about what he'll be able to do, even as the assistant, as a part of a bigger plan. So you want to go coach P4 at some point. You're going to get that from the HBCU line, or you're going to get that from working with Penny at Memphis?
You're gonna get it from working with Penny at Memphis.
That's what.
But let me counter, because I text my buddy about this. We were having a conversation. So okay, if you're a head coach, if you're at a HBCU, the peak is a first four win. Let's be honest, because you'll make the NCAA tournament and you'll get put in the first four because they be doing them dirty, and then you can win the first four, but you get a lot of money from that. Which still, like, what I'm looking at HBCUs, and for lack of a better term, I'm gonna say this, it's almost kind of like last chance you. It's almost like you're going to get guys.
They're going to come for you. They're going to come for you.
No, and this is what I mean when I say this. You're going to get guys who were maybe had the skill level that could have been good enough to play in P4 or Group of 5, but maybe it's grades, maybe it's attitudes or something like that. They just missed the cut. So you can still go to the HBCUs, get your numbers up, and then hit that portal, you know what I'm saying? And then that can almost be like a training ground. And so that's kind of where I see where, like, those HBCUs matter. So that's why I'm thinking, like, with Matlock, I'm thinking it probably, like, as you said, you get more, but you still can build something at a HBCU, and then you still could move up to be a mid-major head coach at a place like a Siena or a Drake. You know what I'm saying? And you still can.
If he helps turn Memphis around, in 2 years, he could be the head coach of a American Conference team. Easily.
Yeah.
From where he's at. He can't get that same job from where he was at just now. He's got the path is, I shouldn't say he can't. The path is more difficult. His path is a lot easier to become a head coach at a Group of 5 or Power 4 school in working with Penny in Memphis, because Memphis has the prestige. All he's got to do is help turn it around. If they turn it around, then he becomes a hot commodity. He becomes one of the next hot coaches on the list that's going to get a job somewhere. And I'll say for HBCUs, to me, it's more of a stigma than a reality when it comes to HBCUs. There becomes a stigma with going to play at an HBCU that's
because
not
they don't
necessarily the reality. And it's because of facilities, it's because of resources. So those guys, some of those people, it's tradition, it's family. Hey, my dad went there, my grandpa went there, like that's where we're going. So it's not necessarily always, hey, you couldn't get in anywhere else. Sometimes it's from the outside, you look up and say, oh, well, you had to go HBCU. Well, actually, it's really good.
Yeah.
It's just they don't have the facilities that some of these other places might have, and so they get a negative stigma.
You can still get that HBCU, and now you can still get that HBCU experience, and then still now, like, you can hit the portal. Because me, like, I don't regret going to Oklahoma State. I'll just say that. I'm in Atlanta, but I'm an Atlanta guy. So you know what that means. Like, I grew up around Morehouse, grew up around Clark, Atlanta. So I've been HBCU bread and butter, like, growing up as a kid. I was in the marching band, and it was very much like a HBCU style. So I know, and sometimes I look back and be like, damn, what would my life be like if I had went to a HBCU? But then you, like what Ruben says, you look at the facilities and everything that other schools do. So I get it for guys, because I've talked to, my own peers and, like, people younger than me about what their thought process is. But I think now, because we have the portal, you can go to a HBCU and you can get that experience and ball out and still hit the portal and get where you got. And maybe I'm looking at this Matlock thing because I'm looking at Nolan Smith. Remember, he was also an assistant for Penny, and he went to Tennessee State. I mean, he's the head coach now at Tennessee State. I'm almost looking at it like this is like almost the equivalent if Nolan Smith went back and joined Penny. That, to me, just wouldn't make any sense, especially coming off of making the tournament. And they were in the same situation. Both Matlock and Nolan Smith were head coaches of NCAA tournament teams that lost in the first round. But I just can't see Nolan Smith going back and joining somebody. Now, I might be wrong. I don't see it.
It depends on what the long-term goal is, bro. I'm telling you, I live in this college basketball world, and I'm telling you, Matlock's probably twofold. He probably wants, for pride and for love of the city, wants to come back and help turn it around. There's probably a part
as a native Memphian.
Yeah, there's part of him that's probably like, you know what, the opportunity's here. If I can be a part of that turnaround, that change, I'm all in. The second part of that is, if he does help turn this thing around, in 2 years, he becomes the next head coach at one of these other Group of 5 schools for sure. And then you're successful at the Group of 5, your next step is Power 4. So if that's his goal, then he's absolutely on the right path. If his goal is just to help turn Memphis around, he's still on the right path. His heart may not have been where it was. His heart might be in Memphis.
You're right. I mean, because look at University of Tennessee, another Tennessee team. Their assistant is now about to go be the head coach at NC State. Mm-hmm. And I remember I was listening to the presser from Rick Barnes. Rick Barnes said that guy is ready for the moment. That's the perfect guy to be the NC State head coach.
You got to work that. You got to work that tree, man. You work that coaching tree, and that's the other part of this. Now, this is all part of your coaching tree and your expansion. I have coaching friends of mine that are trying to get jobs right now, and seeing where they're going. I've got a coaching friend who just took the women's job in New Mexico, right? Coming from Missouri Valley Conference, or might be Ohio Valley Conference now, school in Missouri, now taking that job over in New Mexico. It's just part of the journey that they have to live that we don't know nothing about. Yeah. TV's a little bit, not too dissimilar, but that coaching thing is different.
Now let's turn our attention, because all of these coaching moves were rooted around recruiting. And obviously, once again, Memphis, it finds itself almost having to start from scratch. So as we are taping this, these are some guys that stuck out to me that have hit the portal for the Memphis Tigers. Ashton Hardaway.
Yes.
Curtis Givens.
I'm going to give Ashton the check mark, though, the pass, and here's why.
That's twice he's leaving his dad.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know how hard it's got to be? I can't imagine.
Coach's kid?
Yeah, I mean, and Penny's your dad. Penny's your dad, so the expectation of who you are has got to be tough to live up to.
Twice leaving your dad is crazy.
You can't just be your own person and your own hooper, because you're playing for your dad, and B, everybody expects you to be like your dad. So I think him moving on is honestly a great thing for him. It's a great chance for him to just go be him, figure out who he wants to be as a player and a hooper, and blaze his own path. Good for him.
What about Curtis Givens, though? You know, that's a guy who also Memphis bred. I mean, his dad is a big-time businessman, and obviously I know when Curtis Givens came back, it was a lot of hype around it. He kind of had an up-and-down year, much like a lot of the Memphis basketball players. I was kind of surprised, though, because I thought he was being one of the building blocks.
Well, again, we don't know what the meetings, at the end of every season, they have postseason meetings. And those postseason meetings are more like business meetings now than they have been in the past.
Yeah.
Givens' money may have changed. See what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of stuff that goes into this that we don't think about. He may have been getting X number of dollars, and then now Penny and them may be saying, no, we're dropping that to this at this point. And that may be why he's leaving. It could be because he just wants a fresh start. This last season, that's a bad taste in anybody's mouth, especially if you have plans and goals of continuing to play long term. It's hard to do that if you have consistent bad seasons, right? If I'm trying to go, whether it's to the league or overseas, or even just get to a P4 school and make a little bit more money, it's hard to do it when you're having rough seasons. So in his mind, he could be saying, hey, you know what, let me go get a fresh start, see if I can't ball out for a season and see where that takes me. But I will tell you, there's a lot of these things that people don't realize is that financially based. Either the kid wants more money than the school wants to give, or the school decreases their money because they don't feel like they got their value. There's a lot of that goes on that people don't realize.
Do you think it'll be a reunion with the Tigers and P.J. Haggerty? Because he's not going to the league. It's not good enough.
Yeah,
it's just not.
No, I don't know what's going to happen with P.J. Haggerty, and I don't know if I'm Memphis if I do that. I mean, you got a fresh staff.
I don't want to say it because I don't want to come off as a hater. So I want to listen.
Yeah, I'm not a P.J. Haggerty hater by any means, but you got a fresh staff. There's a slew of kids in the portal that can play.
One of them is the kid from Tulane. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
The Roman Brumbaugh, and he's killed Memphis every time they played.
So to me, if I'm Penny and staff, what I'm probably doing is I'm saying, okay, once this GM gets in place, we got to go get a star, because that's what they were missing. You were missing a star. We got to put a big chunk of money on a star, and then we're going to build from there. And once you figure out who that star player is going to be, that guy that you can hang that ball, you give that ball to, and you know he's going to go get a bucket, then you can build the rest of your roster around that kid. If you start building a roster without a star, then you're giving out too much money to role players.
Yeah.
Now you don't have enough money for a star, and now you end up in the same boat where you don't have a guy who can go get you a bucket.
Two key words Ruben just said, that building and stars. And as we are taping this, it is the dawn of a new era in Memphis women's basketball, as they are building something with the new head coach, Hannah Hayden, who comes from Georgia Southern, which is my sister's alma mater. So, Ruben, you're big in women's basketball, girls basketball. How do you feel about this hire?
I think it's a great hire.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. She was coaching JUCO for a while, then took the job at Georgia Southern. She is a player's coach. People love Hannah. They do. I don't know one person who can say one bad thing about her. She's big on community. She's big on investing into the kids, the players. She's extremely likable, and she's just really, really good at what she does. I think the best thing about it is it's a fresh breath of fresh air for Memphis.
Yeah.
She's going to come in and some of those. I'm just going to keep it real. Some of the players on Memphis's team don't need to play at this level, and that's okay. That is absolutely okay. And Hannah has enough connections. Coach Hayden, I should say, has enough connections within the coaching world from the JUCO level and on up that she's going to be able to find players that fit her system, that can go win. I say you give her a couple of years and they're going to be really, really solid because she's very, 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 very good.
Are you saying they also are going to fall into the same problem as they need to look for a star?
The women's game is a little bit different than the men's game in that regard, but it doesn't hurt you to look at UConn. Does UConn have one star? No, they keep more than one. But you got Sarah Strong, bro. Yeah. So you don't. It's not the women's game and the men's game are a little different, right? And so I mean, South Carolina, Dawn's got 5.
Yeah.
She starts 5 stars, right? So on the women's game, it's a little different. I think that she'll be able to find 1 or 2 really talented star potential players, develop them for a year, and then they'll be stars, and she can build underneath that too. I think that's what I could easily see. I don't think she's going to go out and just start throwing money at every big name she can get. I don't think that's going to be what happens. I think next year people are going to see a much more competitive Memphis women's basketball team.
Yeah.
They're going to see a very engaged coach.
Yeah.
And you're going to see a style of basketball where they know how to score. That was the biggest thing, and I'm not trying to be mean. We spoke about this off camera. I watched a couple of Memphis games and women's games just because I watch women's basketball a lot. And I was astounded by how poorly they shot the basketball. Mm-hmm. In the women's game, you have to be able to shoot. The men's game, you can play above the rim, right?
Yep.
You can play in the paint and above the rim. So you don't have to be able to shoot it at the same clip all the time, right? You can go through a scoring drought and still go score. The women's game, you need to be able to shoot it. You need to be able to shoot mid-range. You need to be able to shoot threes. Even the bigs at this level, at this point in time, need to be able to at least be consistent. They don't have to be deadly from out there, but they got to be able to be at least a threat. And when I watched Memphis women's basketball this last season, I just did not see a lot of that on the floor. I saw a lot of, I just didn't see it. And so I think that you're going to see a change in that for sure.
I'm very intrigued to see how she does recruiting. She has definitely been hitting the ground running. Hopefully we'll be able to get her on the 24th floor. But we got to take a quick break. We've been burying the lead. When we come back, we're going to talk about the people who are actually still playing in the in the NCAA tournament.
Well, we don't have to talk about that.
Because that's what, Memphis wants to get back to, the NCAA tournament. And yes, oh yes, it's that time. We're talking about them brackets. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back.